Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are here with another episode of One Punch Man. I like many others that I noticed, we're a bit underwhelmed by the last episode in terms of the action. We didn't really get to see the fight with Goketsu versus Saitama, but a lot of you pointed out that in the manga it wasn't a budgetary constraint why they actually cut the scene or anything, but in the manga they didn't actually show the fight between Saitama and Goketsu as well. Still a bit disappointed, not just because of the lack of action in that episode, but because the season overall so far has felt light on the action comparing to season 1, right? I'm hoping we only have a few episodes left that towards the end we'll see things ramp up and because look, Saitama is first of all, I'm a story guy more so than I am an action guy, right? So for me to actually notice that okay, we're missing action here, then yeah, One Punch Man is an action anime, so one expects to see a lot of action in it. But the bits, again, I'm a story guy, so the bits that I did get about the monster cells and how that can drastically change the balance on the sides between heroes and monsters, that's something that intrigues me a whole lot. So I'm loving the bits that I'm getting about that and how our characters will have to change the way they fight, their motivations will have to in terms of what's driving them to fight as well will change, because they're going to be getting to the point where you're fighting to protect the people, but what happens when the people decide to become monsters themselves? So I said it from the beginning of the season when the monster cells were introduced. I believe it adds an extra layer to One Punch Man that I felt was needed, because again, I'm a story guy, and you can only see flashes and punches for so long without any story behind it. It just gets dull after a while. So I'm glad for the developments that we have gotten so far, and I still want to see, because I don't know, season 2 was kind of popped up to be this Garo versus Saitama face off, but we've seen him face off twice, and Garo's gotten knocked out twice, but without really knowing. There was no context to the fight. It was just a one-off, and it's parody, so it's fine. It's meant to be comedic, so I'm good with that. But I'm hoping that in this episode we can finally maybe see Bang and Bomb actually catch up to Garo and fight him. I theorize that Garo will use the monster cells to become stronger. I think he's eventually going to become a good guy, because they spent at least 2 episodes showing us that he does in fact have a heart. Speed of Sound Sonic took the monster cell, or he received the monster cells as a gift from someone from another dojo that he affiliated with, and he cooked it and ate it, and at the end there, I don't think it's gonna work. So I think he's gonna be fighting just as he has and getting stronger that way. I did put a theory, put a question to you guys in terms of how, I don't know if maybe if it happens in the manga or not, how the monster cells might affect Genos, and whether or not he can actually use the monster cells, because I think that would look just badass. Obviously Saitama doesn't need it, so I'm just interested to see where what direction the story is going, what Demon King Orochi, what part he has to play in this. So yeah, let's check it out. I booster her. Bunny bun bun. The call for help, the signal. I don't imagine a lot of the S-class heroes would even take that.
もう一回だ。次はもっと速い連続ジャックキックで絶対に勝つ。怪人協会からメッセージが届きました。何かに奇襲弾圧されるのはもうこりごりなので、これからは我々に構わないでいただきたい。襲うようなことはもうしません。人間の生活圏に踏み入ることも。今後怪人協会には手を出さないことをこの場で約束しよう。としておけ。これ以上勢力を伸ばす前に一斉に駆除している。いかんいかん我慢我慢。
I guess both sides knew this was bullshit.
おましいですね。 人間と怪人の共生。我ながら傑作のギャグだ。その間にヒーロー協会の最高戦力を集めてガキを救出しに来い。
破裂した。
まだ一匹残ってるぞ。
いいな。
今のが緊急事態かな。
S 級の肉体いただきます。このコートだよな。
何を言ってるんだか。鉄が鍛えられた生身にか。
何がかね、黒光り君。
俺の筋肉を見て少しは落ち着いたか。俺が輝く時が来たようだな。心配なのは敵側の方だ。
って言ってね。
はて、なぜ敗者がここにいる。
負けておめおめと逃げ帰ってきたか。
待ってくれ。足を失っただけだ。まだだ。やめろ。やめてくれ。やめてください。
私はまだほとんど無血だよ。負けたわけじゃないって。
万が一オロチ様に勝てたら晴れて新ボスの誕生だ。
いいぜ。
Knockout?
一旦アジトに帰らねえと。ヒーローのデスガトリングだ。
Oh, it's the other Class B guy.
キングにやられたダメージが思った以上に。
Oh man, Genos has been repaired so many times. I want to be impressed by his body. Looks pretty dope. Looks pretty bad.
シンプルだが、今回のバージョンアップでお主は確実に強くなったはずじゃ。生きてさえおればの。昨日のお主を見て自分の住んでいたあの頃な。ジェノス。
怪人協会だって。
本部に侵入。
怪人協会を名乗る組織がヒーロー協会
Surprised
の
they
関
didn't
係者
try
を
to
人質
control
に
that
取り
information to prevent.
衝突するらしい。戦争か。怪人協会め。なんと卑劣な。
負け
で人質救出作戦は放棄し早々に爆撃すべきだ。
我々の次の動きに民衆の注目が集まっています。
マスコミにリークとはやってくれるねば。怪人協会か。場所は公表されていないが、
Meaning whether or not you become evil by consuming the monster.
こいつらもしかして俺に会いに来てんのか。それよりも
ゴミ収集車が来る時。
熱が引かない。こりゃ2、3日はまともに動けねえかも。
だから出て行ってください。
なんでお前にいいことを教えてやろうか。周りにバカにされないよ。
すごい。ヒーローたちが大集結だ。
手負いのヒーロー狩りが
されるのが嫌だったらな。強くなりゃいいんだよ。
Easier said than done.
おじさん。
気にするな。それよりお前はもう帰れ。
体が見えたら一斉に撃つぞ。
Not gonna check
囲
first.
まれている。待て。
持ってるけど、なんで？
必要になったんだよ。
まあいいけど。
正面に4人、後ろに2
This
人
is why
に考
masks
え
are
りゃ楽
important.
勝。
Although I guess
だ
that
がこっ
means
ち
you
は
are
満身
anyway.
創痍。幸い名艦クソガキ。
Why didn't they call for backup from S-Class heroes? They know how dangerous.
小屋は撃たないでくれ。
素直じゃんか。降参か。
バカ言え。
ただでは済まない。生きがって怪人を名乗ったことを後悔するんだな。
て
I
め
don't know what his grudge is against the heroes.
お前はここで終わりだ。
まずはてめえ。危ねえ危ねえ。生け捕りって感じの月じゃなかったな。矢の雨。
タンクトップマスターの金属バットも痛い目を見ています。みんなで話し合ったから
容赦はしない。
The hell is that thing?
さすが
中距離では鎖鎌とスマイルマンの技が絶え間なく襲いかかり、
How is that, man?
シューターとガンガンから一方的に撃たれる。ケツ持ちはデスガトリングかサポ
Really?
ート
That's
役
his
か。
job?
つかず離れず一定の距離でマークしてきやが
All
る。
he needs to do is take
黙
him
って
out.
るぜ。 これ以上の隙を作るとまた後ろから撃たれる。
スタミナと執念深さなら負けるつもりはない。その傷に毒や。
この包囲を走り抜ける足も残ってねえ。今のコンディションで。
Alright, so there we have it, episode 10, One Punch Man. We finally, I don't know, I mentioned before, I still have some questions about about the nature of the monster cells. But we'll get back to that later. We finally got we got to see Gar in action again. Of course, he's got his ass kicked by Watchdog Man. So I'm not quite sure how exactly he escaped that badly. He seems to be escaping every single encounter for some reason. But I do want to know though, he said taking these guys down. I was trying not to use kill because I'm not sure if he's actually killing them or not. But he says taking these guys down will bring him over 100 heroes, right? Is he actually killing the heroes or is he just defeating them? Because he beat Tank Top Master, but then I thought Tank Top Master was dead, honestly. I thought he was dead. And Charanko as well. But then later on, we found them both were in a hospital, alive and well. So, I guess I'm trying to figure out what his agenda is, because if he's trying to become this monster, I don't see most of the monsters that don't care much for keeping people alive, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I feel as though he will become more than just a one-off villain. He'll probably become an ally of Saitama or something, right? Because he's not actually killing anyone; he's defeating them, similar to I guess just moving from dojo to dojo and beating each person to prove that you are the strongest, but he's not actually killing anyone. So I guess defeating these would bring him over 100, but he's not actually killing anyone. So he obviously still has a moral compass. The kid aside, he was being protective of the kid, but aside from that, he doesn't genuinely seem very monstrous as much as he wants to be portrayed as a monster. So we had a lot of fun games, Saitama and just messing around playing video games. We eventually got some explanation, I guess, sort of what the monster organization's aim is. The story that they gave initially about humans and monsters living together in one world, coexisting. Obviously bullshit at the end there, because this group just seems to want to kill everyone. But I don't think it was brought up to be discarded so easily. So I imagine that there are genuine monsters around that aren't hurting anyone, that are maybe have been outcast, but at the same time they just want to live in peace. And it comes back to the point that I made earlier on about whether a human who takes the monster cells, do they immediately become evil once they digest the monster cells and become monsters, or are they still themselves but physically their appearance has changed, right? So it kind of comes back to that. So I think there are genuine monsters out there who don't necessarily want to harm anyone, but because of how the Hero Association is structured, you take down this number of monsters, your rank goes up, right? Your popularity goes up, and so on. So with that, I think in some ways, by the end of this, I think it's going to shed some light on that, and the Hero Association will need to, change, restructure in some ways. Because they're just going around killing monsters, sometimes I'm guessing without question, right? It brings me back to season 1 with Amai Mask, when Boros was defeated by Saitama and the ship crashed, and some of his men were there and they were willing to surrender. Granted, they did a lot of bad shit, but they were willing to surrender, and Amai Mask just executed them right there, right? So there may very well be monsters out there who don't mean any harm and just want to live in peace. I don't think this group is a collection of those guys. They seem to be the most vile of the monsters. And well, weirdly enough, are they even technically monsters or just humans who became monsters? And it's something that I'm hoping that the writers explain later on. Where's the parallel exactly? I mean, were the monsters always a part of this world, always around, or are even the monsters who are there now? They were humans before. If you look back at season 1, there were a lot of monsters being created and experimentations. Even the very first monster we saw in 5, which was the giant, the bodybuilder who asked his brother to build the perfect, steroids to make him strong, and he became this huge monster that basically couldn't do anything without causing mass destruction. He was a result of human error. So are they leaning towards the monsters that exist are artificially created, but and not just they don't just exist on their own, a result of nature? And so I don't know if that's what it's hinting at. But again, as I mentioned before, I love the conversation that it's it started about monsters. Who exactly is a monster? It's forcing you to question who's a monster and who's not, right? Because you can have humans who outrightly do horrible, bad shit, who are arguably could be considered monsters themselves, even though they don't look that way in appearance. While you may actually have monsters who may just be gentle souls, right? So I love the conversation that it has, that this has started, it being introduced in this world. I mean, we got to face off. We got to fight there at the end with Garu facing off against a group of heroes, attempting to take him down. I don't imagine that they're going to get very far, even injured. If he was able to fight 3 S-class heroes consecutively and walk away, I don't see them being able to take him down. I mean, my only gripe, and I guess it's really just a One Punch Man thing, the inconsistency, because Garo is taking a thrashing, and Saitama has knocked him out several times. I'm not quite sure what, if he's just strong for the sake of being strong, or is he actually a skilled martial artist? I don't know, it just seems like in one instance he's getting his ass kicked, but in another he seems overpowered, right? I mean, this may just be the guys that he's facing off against, but I'm hoping that we get to see him face off against either, not necessarily even Saitama, but Silver Fang, even, to see, so I can have a gauge of where exactly he lies in terms of his abilities, right? But he's gonna kick these guys' ass and then go about his business. That's pretty much how it's gonna go down. Genos has a new body. The last time he got an upgrade, it was from some other machine/monster that he defeated, and then he got the upgrade. I'm not quite sure where this upgrade came from, or is it just something that the doctor had been working on and he just made some upgrades from the parts that he already had before. But Genos, as I mentioned, it's going to be a running joke for me throughout the rest of this season, or forever, as long as Monster One Punch Man goes on. Being that he keeps getting the shit beat out of him, and he keeps being turned into scrap metal, and then he gets rebuilt and gets turned into scrap metal again. But I'm holding on to hope that one of these days he's gonna, he's limited in his ability to grow stronger because he is a machine, so that is gonna happen. That's gonna happen eventually. But I mean, as it is now, he's still my favorite character. It's not Saitama. Saitama is a great goofy character, but I actually prefer Genos to him. I mean, not a lot happened in terms of moving the story, but we did get some information about the Monster Association. They have been revealed to the public now, or they intentionally leaked it to the public. and they have challenged the Hero Association to storm their hideout and rescue the kid that they kidnapped. Presumably to bait them into going in, so that they can cause even more casualties. And not everyone is sold on that, on just storming in there, but at the same time, I mean, I don't see. I mean, they have different heroes with different abilities. I mean, there are different ways that they could go about it. They don't have to necessarily storm in there, right? And I imagine eventually the monsters will come to them. So I'm actually with the decision to not go, not necessarily to bomb the hideout, given that the kid is in there. Wouldn't be very hero-like, but at the same time, it's obvious that they're playing a different game here, and these monsters aren't using brute strength to get what they want. They're using strategy, and they're being clever, and they're using the media to their advantage, and playing on the hero's ego as well. So they're being very smart about it. At first I thought it was that Gyo character that was maybe the mastermind behind the whole thing, but Orochi actually did something this episode. Before, he was just standing there. I thought it was just a figurehead or something to keep everyone in line, but he's very live and well and hungry, clearly. Ate one of their members who lost, so I guess you're useful until you're not useful. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next episode. Alright guys, be sure to post down in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Be sure to hit like or subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next one.